In 2019, Frederik Imbo was one of the speakers I introduced on the TEDx stage in Mechelen. With his talk on how not to take things personally, Frederik has now more than 16 million views, and he became the most viewed Flemish speaker. We talked about how he experienced giving the TEDx talk and its impact on his life and work. But we also dove into how not to take things personally. We talked about dopamine coaching and tough love. I hope you enjoy our conversation.
Welcome to the Own Your Story podcast, the place to learn about personality branding, thought leadership, and how to capitalize your reputation. In other words, how to own your story. I'm your host, Ianka, fleerackers, former actress turned into six-figure entrepreneur, author, and keynote speaker. Let's get started.
Hello, Ianka.
This is the very first time, I think, in my life, I'm sharing the video call with another ginger.
Let's call it historical because as far as I know, it's for me the exactly same.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice
I do
meeting
not know
you.
So many ginger people, so
No.
ginger meets ginger.
No, it's true. And we're a breed apart, aren't we?
Exactly.
Gingers are different.
We should reproduce ourselves. In my case, it's technically not my desire because I love men more than I do with women. So
Yeah, but I do have children, but they're not gingers. So we're dying. We're a dying breed.
we're dying.
Always less and less gingers in the world. Nevertheless, I'm very, very happy having you in this show today because your TED Talk years ago, I think was 2019, just before COVID.
Just before COVID.
I still remember that TED Talk. Because of the title, that was one thing, and because it was such a good keynote. And some other reasons as well, but these are the most two important. Now, do you remember, of course, you remember, what was the name, what was the title of your TED Talk?
How not to take things personally. And even if you forgot the name, I'm sure I have some strategies to not take that personally.
But this is not a topic of our talk. It's about a TEDx talk, which is something else than a TED talk. There's a difference. How not to take things personally. You performed that on TEDx Mechelen in, I think, 2019, before COVID got into our lives. I was the host at that point, and that was the first time we ever met. I think we haven't shared a film set or a stage before, haven't we? Or is that something I also not remember?
No. You have a very big TV career, and I think you're absolutely more talented in acting than I am.
Thank you.
That's my perception, and I hope that everyone could be honest with themselves. I do not see myself as a very good actor. I'm maybe good in other things, but in TV acting or film acting is a very special way of acting, and everything in my life is too big, and I'm not that nuanced enough to play it in such a way that people might believe it. If I watch myself, I see like, oh, it's not really very realistic. It's over the top a bit.
Yeah, but every actor has his style, and yours is like a comedy style, isn't it? It's big, and nevertheless, you began. That was something I can still recall, that you were very early on in the beginning of your career. You started your company, and you were one of the first actors who I saw doing that, starting his own company and really succeeding in it. What did you do? Tell me about your company, Imborling.
I suddenly became aware that there was such thing as communication trainings. I had no idea what it was. I'm not really educated by parents who found good communication or empathy or being clear in your communication a very important thing. And I found out that there were companies giving trainings to people in business world how to become more assertive, how to become more empathetic, and so on and so on. And we were, as actors, freelance actors, hired to help those communication trainings as a tool. And I was very much intrigued. I think because unconsciously I became suddenly aware that maybe I was not even the best communicator either. I was not maybe the most empathic person, and so I was so intrigued that I wanted to redevelop myself a bit, and I studied neuro-linguistic programming. And all at the same time I thought, wow, that trainer who gives those communication trainings, this is what I want to do myself. And I also want to be a speaker, a public speaker. The only way of public speaking that I knew was giving a spreekbeurt, a small kind of presentation at school,
in school,
a lecture, voila, about our hobby or something like that. And I found out that you could give a presentation about a certain topic. And I was thinking, wow, if I combine my acting skills with loving to present things, and at the same time using my new passion, communication between human beings, as a kind of a topic, and suddenly Imbo was born. And since then we created several keynote speeches about topics that are mostly related to face-to-face communication, connective communication, and also public speaking, and all the variety around face-to-face communication.
Yeah. I followed the neuro-linguistic programming as well. And for me, it
A lot in
was...
common.
Sorry? We have that
a lot in common.
Yeah, but it irritated me. You know why?
Really?
Yeah, it irritated me
So
because
interesting.
I was spending my weekends, and because it's also always during weekends, and I was irritated because for me it was all about what you do. I work as an actor. Only we in the training, you're not playing a role, you're not playing character, but all the techniques, most of them, etc. For me, there were acting techniques, or the way I worked on a character, or how I developed emotional intelligence. So for me, it was all they all stole it. To me, it was all normal, but packaged in packages that was with new words and a new philosophy and some blah blah. But I recognize a lot of things in it, and there were things as well that I think that's not correct. That's just real. That's just blah blah blah. That's I don't believe that. That's not a scientific proof as either. Yeah, that was my. Yeah.
I'm so happy that you bring this on, and I'm actually sad that you have lived with these people, that training of neuro-linguistic programming, because I get this reaction so often. And to me, the difference is the teacher. Out of which intention did they teach you the neuro-linguistic programming tools? I'm not such a big fan, as so many people, of techniques that pretend to change the complete world. I love more a pragmatic way of dealing with things, and even more of that. To me, I really value authenticity. And the institute where I did the neuro-linguistic programming with Eric Schneider in Lier, Arcturus, is for me a place where maybe even a bit too high end in way of too abstract of thinking, but far more authentic than a lot of other techniques that are used to manipulate people. And to me, a technique such as neuro-linguistic programming, but also my new passion, connective communication, it's not important what you do, it's important out of which intention you do it.
Yeah.
And if the intention is, how can I gain power over someone else? So not in terms of equality and not in terms of respecting the other person for who they are, then I run away.
Yeah.
So I was really happy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did. I ran away. I stopped the training, the education. I followed. Yeah, the last weekend I said no, no, I quit.
No
This is
longer
not
for
new
me.
for me. This is not. No, this is not what I expected it to be. So probably I've chosen the wrong teacher to let me have a deep dive in the NLP. Now back to the TEDx talk, because that's the topic of our episode here. I was part of TEDx Flanders. That was the first TEDx organization here in Belgium. They had the first license, and then soon after Brussels came, and after that everyone else followed. And I participated in the organization of TEDx Flanders and was a host as well. And a couple of years later, I was a TEDx host in Mechelen, where we met each other. So you gave your performance. And I still remember when I saw you in the backstage, how bloody nervous you are. And that was so surprising for me, because you as an actor, you're used to standing on a stage, also with your company. That's what you do. You stand on the stage, you give a performance. And I was really flabbergasted about, why are you so nervous? Do you still remember why you were so nervous?
Yes, and maybe can even reveal a secret behind. It's true that normally my job is giving presentations. So I feel like a fish in the water when I can speak in front of groups, especially in Dutch, because what I think is the same as what I can say. First stress level was English. It's not that I'm stressed now, but I feel restrained. However, now, oh yeah, I got the word restrained. Yes, that was the word I was looking for. Sometimes the word just does not pop up.
Yeah.
And then I feel restrained of not having access to that word. So that was the first stress level. So when I have to give speeches in English, like I did yesterday about customer-oriented communication, I always feel stressed not being able in finding the right words. The second stress level was because of the concept of TEDx. I know that possibly that TEDx clip would be seen by so many people, hopefully by many people, but you never know. And the nightmare could be that it was a very bad TED talk seen by so many people, and you get a once in a lifetime possibility to screw it up. And so I really wanted to do it well, and I wanted to really perform the best I could, because I had worked on the TED Talk for months. I literally say months. I got the question, I think, 3 months beforehand, and I was really working on it very, very hard, and I had trained myself very intensely. And now here comes the secret. 50% of the level of stress is not about the things that I already said, but was the last thing, and I think you don't know it. I did not know my TED Talk by heart.
Oh.
And at the same time, I was 100% sure that I would say it 95% or even more verbatim, word by word, as I had prepared it.
And
And
I know
so,
why. I know why you use a technique.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so the technique I like, I have now earpiece, like here, a kind of headphone. I had a kind of invisible in-ear earpiece that was prompting my text. And I'm so happy. I'm very sorry I cannot make money out of it. But one day I invented it, like 10 years ago. I said, people who work on TV, they can have a prompter, an auto cue with the text. But as a speaker, yeah, you should have auto cues everywhere. That was not possible, of course. And then I said, but why not audio prompting myself? And so since then, since 10 years, when I have to give a presentation about a new topic, I sometimes record small pieces or sometimes bigger pieces of the presentation that I worked on hard, word by word, to say it in the way I prepared it. Because let's be honest, our brain, especially when you're kind of a chaotic brain, you want to say A, B, C, but what you do say is A. That's nice. Something else about C. Oh, sorry, I forgot B, and I have to go back to B then. So I wanted to be sure to stick into the 18 minutes time frame they gave us. And so I prepared myself word by word. And of course, I rehearsed so many times. But the stress level was, will I be able to follow the exact words I hear in my earpiece? And will it not fail? Will it not fail? Because there was literally one person in the room who had only one task, having my iPhone, and when I lay down the ball on the floor, to push the play button. If she messed up, I knew that I would anyway mess up my TED Talk, because I had no words popping up or helping me, prompting me. So that was the stress level most of.
Yeah, why are you doing that to yourself? Because you are relying on something like Wi-Fi on a moment where everybody uses his Wi-Fi in a venue, in a theater venue, which has big, thick walls. So it sounds like a solution, an incredible solution, but it on the other side, it is making yourself difficult on yourself. Why?
Yeah. It's always about balance. The structure and the peace it gave me, having that tool, was, even when the stress level was quite high and quite intense, still more valuable. So I could live with that amount of stress that possibly could fail, knowing that the value this gave me of security, stability, and trust was more intense. And of course, when you use your earpiece, it's less authentic than when you do it normally, like connecting. So I was less connecting in the TED Talk
in
than
your opinion, but I don't know if the audience realized that. I think for you,
Maybe
as a
if they watch, they
performer,
can
you
tell me.
probably feel
Could be.
disconnected with the audience because you are just working technically through your talk.
Yes.
But what the audience does is something else. They most of the time don't realize something is going wrong, and probably don't even realize that you are using earpieces to whisper your text. So that is all about perception, isn't it? That's just perception.
Yeah, true. And if someone, even when I asked people, do you know that I did this with an earpiece? No. And even when I'm admitted, honestly, they still understand something else. They think that I was just being prompted some words. No, literally the whole text. I could even look it up, and for those who have watched the TED Talk, they could literally say, "Oh yeah, indeed, that was the exact words that he was using. I was literally being prompted the exact words that I was saying." I have it right here. Let me hear it. 1 year ago, I decided I wanted to become a football referee. Not because it's just this. I only get... So this was the text I was being prompted, and it helpful. If you, at that moment, looking hindsight, I would do the same, because it helped me to say the exact words. This level of English I'm speaking right now is maybe understandable for the listeners, but not as good as the English I'm using in my TED Talk. And I don't care whether it was prompted or not. I try to be the very best version of myself. And okay, it was with a supporting tool, and that's okay with me.
Yeah. Now, the second reason you gave for being so nervous was the fact that so many people would see your talk and you didn't want to screw it up because it would be online. Now, if I recall the rules of TEDx, not all TEDx talks will be published online, just the ones who are good. So every TED Talk, TEDx talk will be reviewed by a group of people and then be put online or not. So not so many people would have seen your screw up if you screwed up. Did you know that, or didn't you know that?
I knew it in the back of my mind because it took, I don't know whether you know that story, it took more than 1 year or almost 1 year. I think it took 10 months
Yeah.
until it was published.
Oh,
And I
did
was
they?
confused, like, huh? Why is not put online? I was so confused. And
Yeah.
suddenly it popped up online, and suddenly it had 20,000 views, which is enormous.
Yeah.
20,000 is even enormous. So it's exploded from the very, very start. But I did not know that there was a possibility to not be published. They
Yes,
just said,
most
yeah,
of them.
we are working on it.
Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that.
Did they
Yeah.
notify you that it would get
No,
published? No. So you
no.
had to find
It
out
was suddenly
yourself.
online.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to find out myself. Yeah.
So you found out, and then suddenly 1 million, 2 million, 10 million,
Yeah,
16 million views.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And what did you
That's
think?
it.
This is my international career getting started.
It's a very weird thing to talk about. I love speaking. It's my passion. Do I want to be successful in it? Yes. Is this still my passion or is this my ego? Yeah, it's a bit ego. Yeah, I want to be successful. Oh, but wait. More of my goal is I want that people find something valuable in it. And so I can talk to myself. I can talk with my ego and say, yeah, you want to be successful, but actually there's an honest, pure reason behind. I want to reach as many people as possible. So on the one hand, of course, even when I have a lot of judgments about my own English and I feel restrained and so on, I of course would love to work as an international speaker. I was quite critical about myself and my acting skills. I'm less critical about my speaking skills. I find myself, this might sound very posh, I find myself a good speaker. I have a very big capacity in relating with the audience and giving them the pieces I think they need. So behind me, there is kind of a marketeer feeling what they need. And so, of course, if I can reach more people to give them a valuable lesson and a good time listening to a good speaker. Let's be honest, Ianka, we are very critical, both of us, and we love to listen to a good speaker. When I see you moderating and speaking, I also think, wow, yes, she is talented, and I prefer listening to someone who's talented than to spoil my time with someone that is a bad speaker. We can see it after half a minute. We see it. And so, of course, I would love to be an international speaker. And so, yes, to respond to your question, on the one hand, I really dreamt of becoming an international speaker. I said, wow, yeah, with that millions of views with a TED Talk, I mean, there is not an official ranking, but as I can see, I have to be in the top 50 or top 100 of all TED Talks included, not only TEDx Talks, but TED Talks. And so I thought, yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's not a fairy tale. It didn't know. It's I have done some things internationally, but not really. I'm not asked in Australia and in America. I also was also in a bad luck when I was asked, especially in the first months after the launch. I was asked, but then it had to be online. Sorry, but I do not feel as an international speaker here in my in my office where I live in Belgium. I do not feel when I spoke for the United the Emirates. The Emiratis in Dubai. I spoke for them. I spoke for America. I spoke also for a company in Australia. But I didn't feel as I was speaking internationally. So, well, I think it's an ego thing. Wanting to be an international speaker, if it's in theaters on real existing theaters, I can take a plane to travel to there to meet people and to talk about the ideas I have, then I would love to do it. But when it's online, no, thank you.
Yeah. So it didn't happen, although you have an immense reach with your TEDx talk. So what you can say definitely is that you reach so many people again because of the topic. How not to take things personally. If 16 million or more people wanted to view that talk, then you must be sure of the fact that that is an issue. How to not take things personally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I found out afterwards that it was apparently one of the I forgot the name of the concept now. The Toltec agreements, I think. But truly, honestly, I did not take it as oh yeah, because it's already one of the agreements of Toltec. No. I truly did it because I was suffering from it.
Mm-hmm.
As a coach, I teach people. I've been teaching people for 20 years how not to take things personally, and yet I'm suffering from it myself. And I really wanted to be rid of that. And I thought, let me tell my story. And it's not a miracle technique to no longer do it. I'm still that referee who takes sometimes things personally. But the tricks and the insights I try to give there work to a certain extent. If I focus on the techniques and I feel like, oh, yes, I take it personally, then with the help of that technique, I can always turn it around to no longer take it personally, which does not mean that it does not hurt, but it becomes more doable. I feel sad or angry, but I know, yeah. I'm in the process of taking things personally. I'm sad because I do not feel understood, and yeah. I see the other person's unmet need, and oh yeah, okay, this is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, of course, we feel so quickly attacked or treated in an unfair way, and if I suffer from it, I think so many people do it, and yeah, it's something that I think that conscious people maybe take between 3 and 10 things per day personally, if it's not more.
Yeah.
And to me, but that's my personal preference, I prefer, you had me in the first 2 minutes of this talk showing yourself in a vulnerable way, and I prefer someone who says, darn, I took it personal, or maybe tell something about me. From the moment someone takes responsibility over what they feel themselves, even when they're not perfect, I prefer the vulnerable thing than someone who is perfect and does not
Mm-hmm.
think about themselves. So
Yeah.
to me, this opens and disconnects so much if people tell me, Frederik, what you said hurted me, and it's my problem because I feel hurted, and what you did was maybe not hurtful, but I took it as hurtful. Wow, it connects.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I do also take things personally, and I know it. But for me, sometimes it takes days to let go, and I keep on reliving the discussions and trying to change what happened, as if we are in kind of a parallel world where I can change what happened and have relive the discussion and redo the discussion so the outcome would be different. Sometimes it really takes me days to let go because I cannot change, because I take it personally because I wanted to change it, because I wanted to make it better, because I regret doing something. But how long does it take with you having your techniques of letting go more easily and not to take things personally?
Also sometimes days.
Mm-hmm.
Also sometimes days. And that's okay. I can live with the fact that sometimes it takes days. I see it as it's related to our autonomous nerve system.
Really?
Simple. It's our brain. And I come back to that. But I see the brain, you're lucky or you're unlucky. Like some people are right-handed and others are left-handed. Some people are lucky and they are handed with two hands. I don't know how to
Yeah,
say that, but
both
they
both
can use
ended.
right and left.
Yeah.
Both-handed, voila. They're lucky. With the autonomous nerve system, the same. Maybe related to education, maybe even not. Nurture, nature. If you're lucky, you're a stable person. You feel okay, you feel valuable, and you do not feel under pressure all the time. If you're unlucky because of nature or nurture, because of things that happened in your life, if you're unlucky, you see, and I hope that it feels like it's no judgment, it's your fault, you're just unlucky, that you quickly feel disbalanced by what someone says or does, you just must admit, I think, first step, oh, I'm unlucky. I'm unlucky. Like, oh yeah, I was unlucky being as a child ginger, being scolded. That's not my fault. It's sad that people try to hurt me with their words. But okay, that just being having bad luck. But the same goes for autonomous nerve system. I see myself as a very sensitive person, and I regret the fact that I so quickly take things personally. But it helps me thinking, okay, I'm just having that bad luck, and this is me. And the quicker I recognize, oh, okay, here again, I take things personally, and okay, I need apparently more time than maybe other people to process it. Then the stress and the judgment on myself is no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
I do not say I'm always capable of doing so, but
Yeah.
if I manage, it gives me more like, oh yeah, self-acceptance in having difficulties, accepting myself.
Yeah. What's interesting is I can relate in what you're telling me about being lucky or having a bad luck. On the other hand, is we might feel as, okay, I had a bad luck, but on the other hand, I think it's one of the talents we have. Having that sensitivity gives us the opportunity to be creative, to create things, because we sense things easily, more defined, more nuanced than other people do. And for me, that's a great gift too, but it's sometimes a tiring gift. It's sometimes hard to live with. If you sense things more and harder and more intense, having it creates opportunities. But on the other hand, you pay for it as well. And you only talk about the paying side, and I also see more of it, the creative side, and being able to
I see
explore
both
more.
sides,
So I use that.
but yeah, but I didn't relate them to each other. I just saw, oh, why am I always taking things so personally? Why am I so angry, so quickly angry? And I know it in a way. I know, okay, it's related to each other, but it has been a long time. Thank you, Ianka, for reminding me of that they're related, of course.
Yeah, they are related.
And also this, I teach people to think more positively. That's one of my keynote speeches. Yes or yes, the strategy of happiness. While I do it myself, I'm more negative oriented thinking. I'm thinking about the problems and the things that bother me, and I hope I could live in a bit more a positive manner. This gives me security. This is emotional and psychologically secure, safe for me to talk to you. And yes, I'm very easily off balance, where I feel not seen, not understood. But it changes for me when I know in the deepest of my selves that I'm responsible. It's not about guilt, but I'm responsible for how I deal with feelings. And this is a very, very, very strong conviction in me that helps me to let other people suffer less from my feeling of I feel attacked, so I will project my feelings to them. I think in the last past 20 years, I developed more and more taking self-responsibility over what I feel, and try to less as possible, even when it's more than I would like, but less as possible, projecting my feelings, my frustrations on other people. Yeah.
And that's going to be always a work in progress, or am I wrong?
Yeah. You coach people, I coach people as well. One of the quotes I use in coaching is, well, for example, someone comes here with what problem? Name one, invent one.
How to not take
I have the
things
problem
personally.
of I take things personally. Well, I tell people, if this is a sensitive topic to you, it's a skill that you lack because you easily take it personally. Know that we can find a solution to it, but know that the work also will be in accepting the fact that this is a sensitive thing for you for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
When people are stingy, another problem, they don't like to spend money. We can teach them to be more free giving, even when when we teach them to do so. Being stingy will, for the rest of their lives, always be a problem. So again, here I don't like personally coaches, speakers who try to give the idea that when we will give you the ideas for the problem will be over and will be solved.
Yes.
No, a psychological problem. When you fear of public speaking, you can overcome that fear with techniques. But it will never happen that one day you will say, oh, I had no fear at all. You will, for the rest of your life, be in a certain way sensitive to that. And that's okay. Why do we have to be perfect?
Mhm. We're going to end our conversation now, and now I'm a bit I'm having a problem now, because I always end my episode with wishing my guests the best of luck. And I have this story saying, but I want to wish you the best of luck the way actors do that. And that's an unconventional way. And I really have to explain what options there are and why it's like that. And then I ask them to pick one of the three choices we have as actors. And you probably know all three of them. Maybe that's, you remember them?
At least one I know.
Okay, to give the one
Break
you
a
know.
leg.
Break a leg.
Break a leg.
Break a leg. Merde is the second one.
Ah oui, merde.
Merde.
Yeah.
And toi toi toi. That's the third
The last one
one.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So three
No.
options to wish you the best of luck before we get on stage. And I ask you to choose one of them.
I would say then toy, toy, toy.
Mm-hmm.
But in the way, I don't know if it's related or not, but my teacher on the theater school in Ghent, Jeff the Metz, translated into this way.
Yeah,
I don't know whether it's
that's
the
true.
same or not, but
Yeah.
I remember him, and I even when he was a very strange person, very harsh on us as young actors, I'm happy that he was so tough with us, and so it's related again to honor that hopeful to develop skill where people are more open to receive feedback and to not take it personally. Let's honor Jeff de Metz by saying.
Thank you for being my guest, Frederik.
With pleasure, Ianka.